Ladies and gentlemen, I'm mindful that we've got some catching up to do time-wise, so I will try and make this fairly swift. I was asked to talk about and consider technology and its impact on our industry. I think the starting point would be 20 years ago when the industry began, we had certain advantages. One of which was that in building our technology, we had no legacy issues that we had to consider, and we were starting with a clean sheet of paper, and I think that was a significant advantage. We developed some very high level of skills within our business, and that enables to do an awful lot in certainly less than 10 years in a whole raft of aspects of our business, from capacity. I mean, if we take the average weekend and the run up to the Premier League, the Bundesliga, and so on, we would be transacting in monetary transaction terms something like 2,000 transactions a second. Your technology has to be pretty damn robust to be able to cope with those sort of levels. So I think that that was a particular advantage for us at that time. And then if you fast forward to events of 2 years ago and how we as an industry have been able to manage through the last 2 years, again, our technology skills have been a major, major benefit to us. You'll bear with me 1 second, I'm not quite sure. There you go, it's run away with itself. So what I thought I would just do for a few moments, I took two current examples of what we've been doing during COVID-19, built on the technical skills and the systems that we have. Either I'm doing something very stupid or this is not behaving. The first was that, and it was a prerequisite to the second piece of work that I'm going to tell you about, which was we decided to build quite an elaborate photo cell system that would drive our second development, which was that of a live dealer casino. We were lucky that the building that we have lent itself in orientation east to west, and when we did the planning, we found that this was going to serve as well. We put 120 panels up on the building. I don't know whether our technical man is around, but this machine is just cycling through. Is there someone that can help me? So the starting point obviously was planning, and then execution, and the first part of the execution was to build the physical infrastructure. Keep going back. Was to build the physical infrastructure. One of the pleasing things about that was that from planning to completion, it took 15 weeks, and we actually did the physical lift onto the building and all of that aspect of the work in 15 working days. And more pleasing was, other than internal skills, the rest of the input came from here on island. There was no off-island skills or technology that was involved. We ended up with a system that allowed us, through the panels and through the Tesla walls, that we could generate 39 megawatts an hour for a maximum with a peak of 43.6 kilowatts. And that means on an annual basis, quite apart from driving the building, and that would operate for between 4 and 5 hours with a complete outage of mains, we will save 10.8 tonnes of CO2, and that's equivalent of planting some 500 trees. So it's already proven itself and is working extremely well. The software integration that we have is very, very clever. It's enabling us to predict weather forecast patterns. I'm going to ignore that and just talk to you. It's a frustration. It's enabling us to predict forthcoming weather patterns, and if, for example, the system thinks that we may be heading for a bit of a storm tomorrow, it will automatically ensure that we are charged up to maximum capacity in the event that we might lose our supply. I think we could do with some technology here this morning. Do you mind trying to stabilize it whilst I... Okay. In a very disruptive, non-technical manner, that was the first exercise we undertook, which was equipping ourselves with that capacity to work off the national grid. For a good part of the time, we actually export electricity onto the national grid. All of that was largely proprietary to supporting two things. One was an increased trading risk floor, which is obviously key. If you consider that 65% of our revenue comes out of soccer, and within that, 60% of that comes in play, real time. So you clearly can't afford to have any hiatus. And as I said, at peak times, that would generate something like 2,000 transactions a second. The next thing we wanted to do, and we talked a little bit about it over there, is one of the areas of our business that was being impacted in Asia was our ability to access our physical infrastructure, our buildings, because of direct COVID issues in the Philippines, but also some peripheral issues that were not dictated by COVID. And that was the live dealer operation that we had. For those of you not familiar with it, live dealer is an absolutely essential component of a nation offering, on the basis that culturally that the Asian better does not trust random number generators. And in the past, when we built our first live dealer casino in Asia, we went so far as having a small TV screen, as it were, on the shoulder of each croupier, on the basis that they recognized the dealing was being done by humans, but they still weren't convinced that it wasn't a pre-recording and had been manipulated. So we had the BBC World Service Television up on a small monitor, as it were, sitting on their shoulder, and that is a timestamp to persuade them that this is indeed live and legitimate. So we set about here on the island in building a live dealer casino. It was the first live dealer casino licensed and regulated here on the island, and we initially were able to recruit 25 to 30 local people. That is now growing. At the moment, we're running that live dealer casino for 11 hours a day, and that will just grow. But in order for it to grow, we need to be able to recruit more people. There should have been a slide which shows a rather nice montage of Leeds United Football Club. We have a Premiership sponsorship arrangement, and Leeds are the club that we currently support. So as part of the casino development, we had 2 tables that are dedicated to the brand Leeds United, and when one sees the output either on a mobile phone or on a PC, you really would think that that croupier is sitting in the middle of Elland Road Stadium. I mean, it's a very effective presentation. what does that do for Leeds? It's, in our relationship, a means of us being able to put this brand, Leeds United, in front of a massive Asian audience. Leeds has not had very much in the way of live television coverage for 16 years because they were not in the Premier League. So at the moment, the relationship is that we are lifting the Leeds brand in Asia rather than the Leeds brand giving additional brand awareness for ourselves. And I don't know whether you can see, no. You can see just some table sort of views here of the branding on the casino tables. The shot on the left comes directly from a mobile phone, and that's what the player sees. And I've covered off the construction and so forth. Also, all of the systems involved are proprietary, so there's no off-the-shelf element, no brought-in element. The other large game is Baccarat. It's the most popular game in Asia, and again, you will see here that the presentation to the player is very elegant. They've really liked the sort of touch and feel. One of the main components of this is the level of audit trail that we have on the cards that are used, and that's literally from cradle to grave. From the time that the cards come from a production setting into the studio and go into service and are managed through the casino and eventually managed to disposal is a highly controlled and audited process, as it needs to be. Effective use of technology has enabled us to grow our business, its global reach, and created currently 50 plus jobs and increasing. I think we've become stronger, more skilled and confident for the future. One lesson I've learned is bring your own laptop. Thank you very much indeed.